I love this. I love this topic. Like, this is my favorite topic of all topics. I always say I can tell the health. I get called a lot. Say, Matt, do you think you could come and meet with us and give me your impression of how you think our operation is doing with sales and marketing, customer service? And I said, sure. And these are the questions I ask. I need to know, these are what you should be tracking.
Hey, everybody. I'm Mike Lieberman, CEO and Chief Revenue Scientist here at Square 2. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of What's Wrong with Revenue. Today, we're going to be talking about rethinking metrics in the context of the new buyer journey. And I'm wrapping up my conversation with Matt Sunshine, CEO at the Center for Sales Strategy and Leads G2. And he actually dropped a major bomb on us, sharing his high-level scorecard for CEOs who are looking to get better data and more insights into their revenue generation efforts and making sure that they're tracking the right things and making sure that their investment in revenue generation is working. His CEO dashboard example is top 1% in my experiences, and you shouldn't miss it. We talked about the buyer journey. We talked about, all the changing things that are going on. We talked about how to model it, how to use it, how to apply it. I want to talk a little bit about metrics for the last little segment here, because we kind of touched on it with this attribution metric that neither of us are fans of, but you have to have some measure of how your company is performing around this new buyer journey. So talk to us a little bit about how you think about measurement and metrics in terms of the buyer journey, which is marketing, sales, and service. How do you kind of high level it, so someone gets kind of a snapshot overall around how the company is doing with this, and then maybe what areas do you drill down into to give it to uncover additional insights so that people can act on it?
Yeah. So I love this. I love this topic. Like, this is my favorite topic of all topics. I always say I can tell the health. I get called a lot. Say, Matt, do you think you could come and meet with us and give me your impression of how you think our operation is doing with sales and marketing, customer service? And I said, sure. And these are the questions I ask. I need to know, these are what you should be tracking. Number of appointments set up per week. Number of appointments. What do you expect? What are you getting? Number of appointments set per week. That's a marketing function and a sales function, depending on your organization. Sometimes that's marketing, sometimes that's sales. Number of discovery meetings conducted per week, whether they're new logos or current customers. Doesn't matter to me. Your best client is someone else's best prospect. So if you're not doing discovery meetings with your current customer base, you're leaving it to chance that someone else isn't coming along with something else. So number of appointments set up, number one. Discovery meetings. What?
They're different appointments. Appointments are not discovery calls.
I'm talking about number one is setting them up. So I booked 10 appointments this week. I didn't do that yet.
You booked 10 discovery calls.
I booked 10 discovery calls. I haven't done any yet.
Right.
The next measure is how many per week am I doing?
Okay.
Right. Mike, in theory, they should equal out, right? Over time, but not always, because some of them you can book it and then it never actually happens. Right. And also, if it's a marketing function, because some of our clients have someone who's responsible for booking appointments that is not the same person as going on the discovery meeting. Two things.
Right.
Number three, proposals presented. How many proposals did you present? And so 3 is slash proposals presented and total amount presented, because it's the same number, right? I presented 6 proposals for $900,000 this week. And then 4 is closing ratio of proposals that closed within 30 days. And I always say within 30 days, most of the businesses that we work with, that model works. That's about what they need. So we always say 30 days. And then the last one is renewals, for the month. We want to know how many clients came up for renewal that month, and what percentage did you renew? And if the answer is zero came up and zero, that's fine. That's okay. But at some point, your clients are going to come up for renewal, and we want to track. So by just looking at those 5 things, appointments set, discovery meetings conducted, proposals presented in dollar amount, closing ratio within 30 days, and retention, we cover all the areas of marketing, sales, and that's not a lot. And you can do, I love CRMs, but you could also do that on a legal pad. Not even in Excel. You could actually do all that on a legal pad and be just fine. But if you know that, I mean, I could come up with a lot of other things to look at.
So that's your high level scorecard.
That's my high level scorecard.
Okay. What if you were going to drill down another level? What are some of the other things that you think you'd be looking at?
Yeah, so I'd start looking at, we'll go from the beginning of the appointment set. How many outreaches were being made, right? What's our conversion of people targeted to appointments set? I'd look there. When it comes to discovery meetings, I'd look at how many of those discovery meetings went to proposal, right? I mean, if only 50% of your discovery meetings are ending up in proposal, then you're not doing a very good job in your discovery meetings, or they weren't very good prospects to begin with, and we got to figure out where that is.
Right.
Proposals presented, I drill down is what is the average ask going out in every proposal, and then how does that compare to what is actually sold? So I asked for 150,000. I asked for a 3-year deal for at $100,000 a year. I got a 6-month deal for $25,000. That's a big gap. Why did that happen? And then customer service, I'd want to see if we're not renewing. I'd want to, what I would look at are why. Is there a consistent reason that we're not renewing? And I would just ask someone, what I typically do is I don't want a long narrative. Just give me a bullet point on why it didn't renew. Didn't get results. If I see didn't get results enough, okay, well, we got to get results for people. If I see they went out of business, okay, well, I'm not that concerned about it. That happens. It's awful, but that happens. But I'd want to see, and then I'd look to see if there's opportunities there.
Yeah, that's really good. Are there any metrics that you're particularly down on these days? Like things that maybe people are talking about or tracking that you find to be, a bit fugazi?
Yeah, so two ways to answer that. So I worry about any metrics that we look at, even the ones that I just mentioned. I worry about that people will try to game the system, right? So they'll say, oh, you're tracking how many proposals? Great, I'll just send out 1 million proposals. I don't use metrics to get people in trouble. And that's what I'm down on. That is great. What I'm down on is people that use metrics to get people in trouble. I use metrics to figure out how we can become more effective and efficient, and where to coach and where to help and where to implement new solutions. If everyone is genuine in producing the real numbers, well, then they'll be really helpful. When organizations start to manage up, and so they just put numbers in that you think that someone else is going to like looking at, well, I have no tolerance for that. I have no time for that. To me, that's a waste. You'd be better off not tracking anything than tracking that. I'll tell you, the metrics that I just shared with you, those are the metrics that top performers care about. Like, even if their company didn't ask them for that, they absolutely know how many appointments they set, how many discovery meetings they went on, how many proposals went out the door, how many did they close, and what percentage of the things are they renewing. Every top performer in a B2B sales role, if their company doesn't track it, they track it. So that I'm down on people weaponizing metrics.
Nice. Okay,
I've never
good.
said it like that before. I kind of like it.
That might be something that you use going forward. That's pretty good.
Don't weaponize your metrics. That's
Right.
right.
Article, right?
Right.
One last question, then I'll wrap up. I know you got something else to do. So, how far, like think about like the businesses you've been in contact with in general, right? How far away are most of them from this kind of metrics-based, data-driven analytics approach to growing their business? Let's wrap up kind of talking about the gap between where we are trying to get our clients and where most of them are now.
Yeah, I'd say with the customers that we work with, and just to provide some scale, we probably have 150 customers. We probably work with 7,500 salespeople, sales leadership type people. So we have a pretty big universe, I think. We have everything. We have people that are on that scale of they're not even anywhere near this conversation, to people that are implementing on a really, really high level. And if I were to say where are people, I'd say that there's probably 10% of our customers that are operating on a high level, 20% that are operating on a very low level, and the other 70% are kind of in the middle, where you see starts and stops.
Yeah.
You see starts and stops of this sort of critical thinking, but they're not all bought in quite yet. But they aspire to, they just don't know how to organize themselves in such a way. Many of the people that we've been doing with, they're not startups. They've been doing this a really long time, and there's a lot of institutional debt that they're faced with. And I get it, by the way. I get it. First order of business is, don't break anything. We're asking them to paint the outside of the plane at 30,000 feet. That's tough.
It is. Yeah. That's great, Matt. Listen, I really appreciate the time. This was a great conversation. You brought a lot of insights to the table here. I'm sure our audience is going to really appreciate it. Thanks again for doing it. Maybe I'll have you back on again, and we can talk about some of those entrepreneurial challenges we were talking about before the show started. But have a good rest of your day. Thanks a lot.